The Formula One driver market is always full of surprises, but right now, Aston Martin finds itself right in the middle of a situation that could completely change the direction of the team. Fernando Alonso, the experienced driver who has been leading the team since 2023, recently hinted that he might retire after 2026 at 44 years old. Alonso still shows incredible skill and flexibility behind the wheel, but even the greats have to step away eventually. This uncertainty has left Aston Martin looking for answers, and one name keeps popping up: Yuki Tsunoda. At the same time, Tsunoda is facing his own career challenge. He was promoted to Red Bull earlier this season, but hasn't been able to consistently deliver solid results. In fact, rumors are already floating around that Isaac Hayar could replace him in 2026. If that happens, Tsunoda could find himself without a seat unless Aston Martin steps in, with Honda coming in as Aston Martin's engine partner soon. The timing doesn't seem like just a coincidence. That's why you'll want to stick with this video, because what's going on behind the scenes might change everything about how this team, and even Formula One, moves forward. Before we jump into the deeper story, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any updates like this. What's happening now could shape the future of Formula One. At first glance, Aston Martin's response to the Tsunoda rumors looked like a typical press statement, but when you look closer, it says more than they probably intended. They mentioned that Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll are both under contract through the end of 2026. It sounds like reassurance, but really, it feels like they're just buying time. Behind closed doors, Aston Martin is facing a tough moment. Alonso has been the main reason for the team's growth, and at the same time, they're preparing for a big identity shift as Honda re-enters the sport. Let's talk about Alonso first. Since arriving in 2023, the Spanish driver has been the backbone of the team. His talent in racing, car development, and ability to get strong results from a car that's not always competitive have turned Aston Martin from a mid-pack team into one that can fight for podiums. But Alonso has mentioned more than once that 2026 year new engine rules kick in might be his last season. Here's where the challenge lies. If the car with the new Honda engine is fast, Alonso might see it as the perfect moment to retire on a high note. But if it's disappointing, he might not even wait that long. Either way, Aston Martin needs to start planning for life after Alonso now. Then there's Lance Stroll. His position is complicated. On paper, he's safe after all. His father Lawrence Stroll owns the team, but Formula One doesn't care about family ties when performance is lacking. If Aston Martin truly wants to go head-to-head with Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren, they need drivers who can lead the team, and Stroll hasn't proven himself to be that driver yet. His results have been okay, but rarely compare that to what Aston Martin stands to lose when Alonso leaves. A driver with deep experience, the ability to adapt quickly to rule changes, and the mental toughness to deliver under pressure. That's a huge gap to fill. This brings us back to Yuki Tsunoda. On the surface, he might not seem like an obvious choice for Aston Martin's future. He was promoted to Red Bull earlier this year, after Liam Lawson's brief appearance, but hasn't delivered consistent performances. After 15 races, Tsunoda has only scored points in 5 of them. Sure, he's shown glimpses of speed. His 6th-place finish in Baku stands out, but inconsistency has been his biggest weakness. Whether it's poor qualifying, on-track mistakes, or getting beaten by cars he should have been ahead of, Tsunoda hasn't been able to string strong results together. Performance-wise, things aren't looking good for him at Red Bull. With Isaac Hayar expected to step up in 2026, Tsunoda is close to being pushed out. But this is where the politics of F1 come into play. Tsunoda has always been seen as Honda's driver. While Christian Horner and Helmut Marko tolerated his presence, his career's been shaped and supported by Honda. But with Red Bull now moving on to build its own engines with Ford, Honda's influence over the team is fading. Honda now needs a new place to plant its flag, a new driver, a new team. And with Aston Martin becoming Honda's exclusive partner in 2026, everything starts to line up. It's no surprise that rumors about Tsunoda moving to Aston Martin started to swirl. Just as Alonso began talking about retirement, For Honda, it makes perfect sense. Their engine, their branding, and their driver all together in one team. For Aston Martin, the decision is more complex. They know Tsunoda isn't Alonso. He can't yet offer the same detailed feedback or strong leadership, but he does bring other things. Continuity with Honda, a major marketing presence in Japan, and the potential to grow into a more complete driver if given the right support, of course. Aston Martin doesn't have to give him a race seat right away. Ted Kravitz even suggested that Tsunoda could join the team as a third driver first. That would allow him to get comfortable in the team while Alonso is still racing. This strategy gives Aston Martin options. If Alonso retires at the end of 2026, Tsunoda is already part of the setup. If Stroll underperforms badly, Tsunoda is there as a backup. And if Tsunoda doesn't improve, the team can still look elsewhere. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. There's a lot of young talent waiting in the wings. Isaac Hayar seems ready for Red Bull. Arvid Lind, a rising F2 star, is being lined up for Racing Bull's Alex Dunn, part of McLaren's junior program, has caught Helmut Marko's eye, and Philippe Dreux, once considered Aston Martin's future star, has now left for Formula E after years of waiting with Drugovich gone. There's a gap in Aston Martin's reserve driver list, exactly the kind of opening Tsunoda could step into. The timing seems almost too perfect. Still, Aston Martin needs to be careful. If they put all their hopes in Tsunoda and he doesn't deliver, they could lose momentum just as Honda comes on board. But if they ignore Honda's preferences, it could damage the relationship before it even begins. F1 history has seen this before, like when McLaren and Honda clashed over drivers during the Alonso-Button era, or when Red Bull had to promote Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon just to keep their junior program moving. These decisions can make or break entire team partnerships. Aston Martin knows this, which is why their statement about the 2026 lineup was so vague. The wider driver squad for next year will be announced in due course. In other words, they're still figuring things out, carefully balancing performance and politics. So what does this all mean for Yuki Tsunoda? Right now, his F1 future is hanging by a thread, but ironically, this might also be his best shot at survival. If Honda pushes hard enough, Aston Martin might give him a chance to prove himself in a top team environment. If he can rise to the occasion and shake off the inconsistency, Tsunoda could extend his career far beyond what most people expect. If not, this could be his final shot in Formula One. So here's the big question. Is Aston Martin truly getting ready to bring Yuki Tsunoda into their 2026 plans? Or is this all just the result of Honda's influence making noise without substance? And if Alonso does retire, who should Aston Martin hand the future to, Tsunoda, Stroll, or someone completely new? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd really like to hear your opinion on this one. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss another big F1 story right here on the channel.